Good morning and welcome to today's service. I'm Ann Ong. We'll begin our service with silent meditation.
Please join me in quiet contemplation. Gasho, all the scriptures in thousands of volumes, they are nothing but great compassion. Namo Amitaputs. Namo Amitaputs. Namandab, 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 Namandab.
We'll now chant the sutra chanting Jusei on page 35 in your service books.
Gagon chosegan ishimu jodo shigan humanzok sehujo shogak ga omuryoko huidai seshu Fusai shobingu sehujo shogak gashi jobundo myosho chojipo kukyo mishomon sehujo shogak Ryokujin shonen jo eshu bongyo shigumu jodo isho tenin shi jinriki endaiko husho musaido shoujo sankumyo kosai shuyakunan kaihichi egen meshig monmoan heisoku shoakudo tudaten zen shumon koso jo manzok iorojipo nichigaten shujuki tenko onpugen ishukai hozo kose kudokuho jo odai shuchu seppo shishiku kuyo isai but gusoku shutoku hon kane shinjo man toku isangai o nyobuten mugechi tudaten mi husho gangaku erik toshi sai shoson shiganya koka daisen okando koku shoten Namandabu, 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 Namandabu. Ganishikudoku Byodo Seisai Dohoten Bodaishin Ojo Anrako. Gasho. Namandab, 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 namandab.
Will you all please rise for the recitation of the gratitude for Jodo Shinshu teaching, which is the insert in the service book? Namo Amida Butsu. Entrust yourself to me. I will liberate you just as you are. This is the calling voice of Amida. My blind passions are embraced in the Buddha's awakening, so the Buddha calls to me. I will liberate you just as you are. Gratefully responding to the Buddha's call, I find that I am already on the path that leads to the Pure Land, and the Nembutsu flows freely from my thankful heart. Living with the Dharma as my guide softens my rigid heart and mind. Gratitude for the gift of life I have received frees me from becoming lost in greed and anger and allows me to share a warm smile and speak gentle words. Sharing in the joy and sadness of others, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest. Can you join me in Gasho, please? Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Please be seated. We'll now have the Dharma School message by Reverend Smitty.
Wow, hello there. At first I didn't see so many people here, and then I guess I turn around and suddenly the temple is filled. So, good morning to everybody. And, well, because of other events and commitments, this is my first Dharma talk for Dharma School students in the new Dharma School year. Happy Dharma School year, everybody. Since you've had 2 class meetings in September already, is that right? Okay. And I've had no class or no classes. Everybody should be way ahead of me, right? Okay. So that'll make this short pop quiz really easy. Is everybody ready for it? All right. The first question is, what's the theme of this Dharma School year? And this is a collective quiz. Oh, compassion. Wow, all right. Got that one. Okay, sounds like just about everybody knew it. All right, second question. Who is the Buddha of wisdom and compassion? Who is the Buddha of wisdom and compassion? I didn't know this one was going to be that tough. Amida Buddha, I heard that from the back. Okay, all right. I wasn't trying to trick you or anything. That was a pretty straightforward question. Amida Buddha is the Buddha of wisdom and compassion. Okay, all right. I think you were just scared by this whole pop quiz thing. Okay. Now for the third and probably most difficult question, although I didn't expect the second one to be so difficult. What is compassion? It's okay to guess or remember part of it. I heard the word caring. Anybody else want to share? I hear Jaden whispering things to Mom, but not loud enough for me to hear. Kindness. Oh, kindness. That's good too. I like that. Kindness. Anybody else? Any adults? Empathy. Empathy is a good synonym there. Okay. Everybody else is just being shy, I think. Well, I think we do have some pretty all-star students this year, because it sounds like you do know these things, even if you're afraid to answer during the pop quiz. Which, by the way, there were no penalties for wrong answers. It was okay. Maybe I should have said that up front. All right. So please join me in Gassho. Though we don't always perceive it, the light of infinite compassion is constantly embracing us. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab. Okay. Well, today I'd like to talk a little bit about the theme of this year's Dharma School, which we have already established is compassion, and a synonym for compassion, which I heard, which is kindness. So discuss a little bit about compassion and kindness. See, good job. These two words are certainly related, but they're not exactly the same. But when we talk about one, you kind of have to understand the other. So a dictionary definition of compassion is a sympathetic consciousness of others' distress together with a desire to alleviate it. And if any of you students came up with that, I would have been blown away, because even I had to look that up. To me, that means you see or you're aware of another being or person or animal that's struggling or suffering, and you feel the need to help them or improve their situation. So kindness is defined as the practice or quality of being kind. I hate when the dictionary does that. Which is having or showing a friendly, generous, sympathetic, or heartwarming nature toward another. And sometimes toward ourselves. We can be kind to ourselves as well. We can be kind to someone who isn't struggling or suffering, and being kind to another being doesn't necessarily improve their situation or alleviate their suffering. So I think the difference between specifically compassion and kindness by the strict definitions is that it's often subtle, but in my opinion, the compassion can encompass kindness, but kindness doesn't always rise to that level of compassion. So I heard that Dharma school students made cards of support and encouragement for those in Lahaina, Maui, whose lives were devastated by the August wildfires. Anybody here make a card to share? Oh, a lot of you, so that's great. Okay. And after this service, there'll be a movie and munching fundraiser. Hopefully you signed up for your pot pie. And Dharma School is contributing to the Maui wildfire relief by holding a bake sale as well. Do you think making the cards is an act of kindness or compassion? And just think about this to yourself. Do you think raising funds to help with the Maui wildlife relief is an act of, or wildfire relief is an act of compassion or kindness? It can be tricky sometimes to figure out the difference between acts of kindness or acts of compassion. And I like to think that in learning how to act with compassion, we can use the stepping stone of practicing acts of kindness. So one way to look at compassion is that it involves a deep need for sympathy for the suffering and sorrows of another person or being. And compassion also involves this desire to relieve that person's pain. So compassion puts you into someone else's shoes and drives you to change their situation. It drives you to take action to help that person. So let's consider the people of Lahaina who were affected by the wildfires in August. What type of situation are they in now? Many have lost their homes, their businesses, their jobs, and their belongings. And they've suffered the deaths of friends and family members and neighbors. Now, we feel sympathy for the people of Maui. We might not know what it's like to have our home or even let alone our entire hometown burned down. But we imagine that this kind of destruction brings great sadness and distress. And we might know what it's like to have a friend, family member, or a Sangha member die. And we empathize with the great sorrow that death brings. See, that's the first part of compassion, being conscious of others' distress. We're aware of the distress experienced by those who lived in Lahaina. And raising money through this afternoon's bake sale for the Maui wildfire relief is the other part of compassion, the desire to alleviate their distress or taking action to improve their situation. So I would say that participating in Dharma School bake sale to raise money for Maui wildfire relief is definitely a compassionate act. How about that stepping stone for compassion that's an act of kindness? In my opinion, I think making cards for people of Lahaina is a wonderful act of kindness. It's a friendly or sympathetic gesture. Making cards lets others know that you care, and in this case, the cards satisfy that first part of compassion, being conscious of others' distress. But the second part, exhibiting the desire to alleviate the distress or taking action to improve their situation, is sort of squishy in this case and not completely satisfied. A card might make somebody feel better or feel that they're cared for and not forgotten by everyone, but it might not exactly alleviate their distress or improve their current situation. That's why I like to think of kindness as a stepping stone on the path to compassion, because kindness can help us to become a more compassionate being by engaging in a practice that points us in the direction of compassion. In order to be compassionate, you need to have awareness of the other person or being's plight, suffering, or difficulty. And you must then have this desire to take action to ease or help improve their situation. But with kindness, the other person or being doesn't have to be suffering or experiencing difficulty. With kindness, you don't have to empathize with their problems. You can be kind to others regardless of whether or not they're experiencing sorrow. You can be kind without the need to have pity for the other person or being's situation. So kindness can exist without suffering existing. And acting with kindness is a choice we can make. You don't need a reason to be kind, but you always need that reason or impetus to be compassionate. So instead of looking for situations where we can practice compassion, let's first look for ways we can practice being kind. So acts of kindness include things like complimenting somebody, or lending a pen or a pencil to a friend who forgot theirs, or inviting the new student to join into an activity, or maybe helping with chores without being asked, or baking cookies to share with the neighbors or classmates, or maybe letting somebody have that last piece of pizza that's in the box, or maybe posting some positive messages on social media. Those acts of kindness become the stepping stones to compassion, so that when we do encounter someone who's suffering or experiencing difficulty, perhaps we can act with compassion to alleviate their plight or improve their situation. So please join me in Gassho while we respond with the Nembutsu in gratitude for the wisdom and compassion which embrace us always. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab.
Thank you, Reverend Smitty, for your wonderful message. Will you all please rise for the Gatha A Special Place on page 100. Please be seated. Thank you, Robert, for your beautiful guitar playing. We will now celebrate September birthdays. So if you have a September birthday, please come up and for Oshoko, and then we'll sing happy birthday to Dharma friends. Any adults with September birthdays? Yay, Kimberly. All right. Stand up here, and when everyone's up here, we will introduce everyone, and you can give us your birth date. You don't have to give the year, unless you want to. And the gifts are all set up here by the Covarrubias family, so thank you for that. All right, we'll start right here.
Yesterday, the 23rd, Trisha.
Nice, happy birthday, Tricia.
Kimberly, so my birthday was September 9th.
I'm the youngest one up here. 3/4 of a century plus a year. I turned 76 on Wednesday.
All right, happy birthday, Joy. All right, so let's sing happy birthday to our Dharma friends. Thank you so much. Please pick your birthday present out here. And are there any announcements while our birthday girls are picking out their gifts?
Happy birthday. Good morning. Thank you all for coming today. I just wanted to invite you to a couple of things coming up. We're very busy this last month, but anyway, I want you to know that you're invited to come to next weekend. We're having a Tri-Temple seminar right here. We have, I don't know if someone talked about it, we have Reverend John Iwahara coming down in person to be here with us. And also we have Rosalind Dong from Vista, Arturo Rubio, right here, from San Diego, and Reverend Hōkai Smitty Smith will be on the panel also. And we'll be having the panel moderator, Reverend Gibbs, will be coming here. So it is past the deadline, but we can get you in. We can get you in today. So please let me know. Actually, if you want to do streaming, you can do that up until I think Thursday, or Friday. So we can. But please, if you like, we'd like to see you here in person, because I think it would be a great thing for, especially it's in San Diego. So, and it is hosted by us. So we hope that I get more names today. Let me know. And also, October 14th, we have a Southern District Buddhist Conference. We're going to be hosting this in 2024. So we would like to send a lot of people to this. The registration is due next week if you want to go in person, because we order bentos. We'll be ordering bentos. So by our event next Saturday, the 30th, we will be, registration is closing. So please let me know on that. We can try to carpool together if we can, and more information here, but it's in person there also. So I hope we can all, have a good showing for both. Okay? Thank you.
Good morning. Just a quick announcement. It was in the Kaiho, which is the monthly newsletter, but our BWA, Buddhist Women's Association, is having our annual brittle sale, and lots of people look forward to that. And last year we just had a small bag of small sweet hots, and this year we have the larger bag. So it comes in 2 sizes in addition to our regular offering. So. And one suggestion is if you have to mail a package or a gift to out of town, that that small box of the one that you don't have to weigh. Flat rate, flat rate. The small box of flat rate, 2 little bags, this is Aki's suggestion, 2 little bags of anything fits perfectly into that box. And so it makes a great gift if you're going to send something out of town. So order forms are down in the office. Thanks.
All right, and as Smitty Sensei already mentioned, we do have the showing of the movie Carving the Divine, and the chicken pot pie, and the Dharma School bake sale that benefit the Maui wildfire relief. So, all right, let's see. We will now excuse the Dharma School for their classes. So please offer incense and you will be excused. And we'll start the adult service shortly. All right, we will begin the adult service with the Vandana and Tea Sarana on page 96. Please join Smitty Sensei from the very beginning.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Namandab, 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 namandab.
We'll now have the adult Dharma message with Reverend Smitty.
Oh, wow, now we're back to a lot fewer people again. Just goes to show you what a wonderful Dharma school we do have here in San Diego. So please join me in Gasho. Concerning compassion, there's a difference between the path of sages and the Pure Land path. Compassion in the path of sages is to pity, commiserate with, and care for beings. It is extremely difficult, however, to accomplish the saving of others just as one wishes. Compassion in the Pure Land path should be understood as first attaining Buddhahood quickly through the saying of the Nembutsu, and with the mind of great love and compassion, freely benefiting sentient beings as one wishes. However much love and pity we may feel in our present lives, it is hard to save others as we wish. Hence, such compassion remains unfulfilled. Only the saying of the Nembutsu, then, is the mind of great compassion that is thoroughgoing. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab. So, good morning again. The passage I just shared with you is section 4 of Tanisho, or a record in the Lament of Divergences. And it was written by Yuyenbo to record the teachings of his master, Shinran Shonin. So what Shinran was explaining is that we cannot save others, we can't even really save ourselves. It's only the great compassion of Amida Buddha that liberates us from this Saha world where we're born into the Pure Land and return then to effectively guide others to awakening in Amida's land of bliss. And we may be capable of acting with compassion with this life, but our limited compassion is not sufficient to liberate sentient beings from this cycle of birth and death. It's only through the Nembutsu, through the great and perfect compassion of Amida Buddha, that the suffering of beings in this world is truly extinguished. But Amida Buddha is not just the embodiment of compassion. Amida embodies wisdom as well. Because wisdom without compassion is little more than knowledge, the knowledge of awakening, but knowledge nonetheless. And compassion without wisdom is little more than perhaps misguided sympathy. This is why Shinran told his disciples that it's extremely difficult to accomplish the saving of others just as we wish. We can't lead others to awakening. We can't bring about the extinguishing of that suffering when we ourselves are unenlightened beings. It takes the wisdom of an awakened one to act with compassion capable of liberating sentient beings. And since I'm unenlightened, I can only experience that scale of wisdom and compassion as a recipient, not as a perpetrator of such wisdom and compassion. Wisdom isn't the result of studying or learning. Wisdom is the result of understanding ultimate reality, the true nature of all things. And compassion isn't simply having sympathy for those who are less fortunate, the victims of war, or those who hunger or experience diseases or poverty and all sorts of suffering. Compassion is the activity of wisdom, and wisdom unfolds itself as compassion to us. Only awakened minds can unfold in this world as a true compassionate action. I'd like to share with you a Jataka tale about wisdom and compassion. And the Jataka are teaching stories in Buddhism, and the Jataka tales encompass some 550 anecdotes and fables. And the term itself, Jataka, translates as birth story in the Pali language. And these are tales that are said to be about the previous lives of Shakyamuni Buddha, or the historical Buddha, in which he was developing the qualities of heart and mind that led to his final human incarnation and then full awakening as a Buddha. And the Jataka tales are among some of the most ancient story collections in human history, dating back to the 4th century BCE, and more than 2,500 years ago, Theravada Buddhism makes reference to the Buddha recalling his previous lives in some of the early texts in the Pali Canon. Although today the Jataka are usually considered to be based more on folklore from India than from actual sermons given by Shakyamuni. But anyways, there's this story in the Jataka tales about a compassionate king, a hawk, and a dove. And one day the king, as he was taking a walk in his garden, came upon a dove that was slashed and bleeding. And feeling sorry for the dove, the king ordered his attendants to go and get some medicine and bandages for the suffering bird. A hawk then flew up and asked the king if he saw the dove fly by. And the king replied that he did, and that the dove was badly injured. And the hawk said, "Well, it's my dove, and I've gone a long time without eating. I'm basically starving to death. And even though I'm weak from lack of food, I swooped down and pounced on it. But due to my weakness, I merely injured it, allowing the dove to get away. So please give it to me, it's my dove." But the king answered that the dove came to him crying, "Save me, save me." And the king asked, "How can I hand it over to you and have you kill and eat it? There must be a dead bird around somewhere for you to eat." How nice of the king to offer roadkill to the starving hawk. The hawk replied, "The meat of a dead bird won't save my life. Give that bird to me. You may think you're compassionate to save the dove, but by saving the dove, you're killing me. If I can't eat the dove, I'll soon die." So the king thought about this predicament for a little while, and he reasoned that he couldn't let either the hawk or the dove die. So he decided to let the hawk eat his own flesh instead, that is, the flesh of the king. "So fine," said the hawk. "Any fresh meat is fine, and a small dove will save my life. So give me a tiny bit of your flesh to eat." So the king ordered that a scale be brought to him, on which he weighed the piece of flesh and then the dove, thinking that his hunk of flesh would surely weigh more than the small dove. However, the scale indicated that the dove's weight was much heavier than the flesh cut from the king. Seeing that, the hawk thought about the humans, and he figured that they would certainly try to cheat to protect their own lives. However, the king, being compassionate, then cut another chunk of his flesh even bigger than the first one and placed it on the scale as well. And he thought that surely now it should weigh more than the dove. But the scale indicated that the dove was still heavier. The hawk then asked, "Well, what will you do for me now? Are you going to let me starve to death?" And the king answered that he now understood and got on the scale himself. Amazingly, the scale balanced as the king and the dove weighed the same. So to save both the dove and the hawk, the king offered himself to the hawk. Now, you might see why I didn't use that story with the Dharma school kids. I'm not sure how some of the Jataka tales would be received to the very young. And you're probably wondering, how can the king and the dove weigh the same? The message of the tale is this: that the lives of the dove, the hawk, and the king all had the same value. This tale conveys the truth that the value of a life can't be measured by status, physical volume, or weight. As Buddhists, we believe that the lives of the hawk, the dove, and the king all carry equal weight, all are of equal value. But this story also affirms that reading from the Tanisho, that However much love and pity we may feel for others in our present lives, it's hard, if not impossible, to save others just as we wish to do it. Hence, such compassion remains unfulfilled. Only through the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha, manifest in the working of the primal vow, are sentient beings truly saved. So may we respond in gratitude with the Nembutsu for the unhindered light and the limitless life, the wisdom and compassion which embrace us always. Please join me once again in Gassho. Amida Buddha, by establishing the incomparable vows, has opened wide the Dharma storehouse, and full of compassion for us small, foolish beings, selects and bestows the treasure of virtues. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab.
Thank you, Reverend Smitty. That story makes me think of an experience I had at my house, and I don't think I was as compassionate as the king, as my neighbor called me because a dove was being attacked by a crow, and it went under my car in the front of the house, and so my neighbor and I were under the car. We grabbed the dove, put it in my cat carrier, and I was yelling at the crow, and then I went off to the, Project Wildlife. So that's the story at my house. So can kind of relate, but I was not self-sacrificing there. Thank you, Reverend Smitty. All right. Will you all please rise for the Gatha Ondoksan 2 on page 128? And if you do look at the English translation, you can see that the Gatha is about compassion. So. Thank you. Please be seated. And we will now have a closing music meditation. And I'm trying to go by the theme of compassion. It's a little bit more about compassion for yourself, and it's from a book called Moonlight Gratitude by Emily Silva. Thank you. Please join me in Gassho. Expectations lay a foundation for disappointment. We can accomplish great things when we measure without expectations. Let go of the outcome and see the positive in all things, no matter how great or small. Wonderful things are happening all around us. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namanda, namanda,
Right. I wanted to start by thanking Reverend Smitty for conducting today's service, and also to thanks to Reverend Laverne and Minister's Assistants Arturo Rubio, and also Sharon Sasaki for ringing the concho and getting everything ready for us. All right, and we will have hospitality for those not attending the movie and chicken pot pie fundraiser, and that will be in the dining room downstairs. And you're all welcome to offer incense. Thank you so much for coming today.